Hello everyone and welcome to Transitions. I'm your host, Antoinette Zloty, and today we're shining the spotlight on one of the fastest and most exciting racket sports around badminton. My guest is Elliot Beals. And Elliot, I would like to share with our folks at home a little bit about your background. You have over 25 years of coaching experience. You're a respected leader in Canadian badminton, and you've been a dedicated athlete from the development and on into now. Okay, so also you hold the NCCP competition development certification, and you've been made a significant impact at both the professional and national levels. That is really amazing accomplishments. So, Elliot, I understand that you served as the Nova Scotia coach at the 2007 Canada Games, yes, and is currently a valued member of the Canadian Professional Coaches Association. The inclusion in Canadian Sports Network, very good, very good, and also the Canadian Badminton High Performance Committee. And you're also an assistant coach for the national para team, and bringing your experience and to international competitions as well, including the Pan-American Para Games and the 3 Pan-American Junior Championships. Elliot, you have been a player among so many, even into the 2020 Paralympic Games in Tokyo. Wow, at the provincial level, you've coached Team Manitoba, and then further showcasing your national reach and commitment to growing talent across Manitoba. Very, very good as well. So also as an athlete, Elliot, you've achieved remarkable success, winning multiple Nova Scotia provincial and maritime titles as both a junior and senior player. Your excellence on the court continues at the master's level, where you're a 5-time Canadian National Masters champion.
Yes.
Now, I really don't want to play you, because you'd beat me for sure. Oh no, that is really amazing. So let's start at the beginning, okay? How long have you been a pro at the Winter Club?
So I'm going into my 7th year right now. I love it. It's a passion. I like to coach because for me, it's giving back. Somebody gave back to me, and I like to pass that on. It just so happens that where I went from being a coach in Nova Scotia, doing it for the love of the sport, and I got an opportunity to actually become a paid coach to do it as my profession. So that passion hasn't changed. It still continues on. It's just that now I get paid to coach, opposed to before it was doing it because, again, I wanted to give back, and also my kids had started playing as well, so I wanted to be able to help them out in that way. But it's pure passion and pure love for the sport is for me is what I like.
That's great. And so at this point in time then, you're full-time with the Winnipeg Winter Club?
Yes, I'm a full-time coach. That is my job to do, is to create programs for the club, to go and make sure that all the programs are for all levels, all ages. So we start a program that's for 5-year-olds to 7-year-olds. We have junior programs for anyone that's from 8 to 18. We have senior programs, and the senior programs is basically for adult, so anyone over 18. We also was running master's programs, so 30 plus. And we also run a para program, probably about the only club in the city that actually runs a para program, which is important. So we cover pretty well all aspects of the sport.
Well, for our viewers, how would you describe a para program?
So para is a broad range. So a lot of people, when they think of para, the first thing they think of wheelchairs. And yes, that's one thing that we do cover. Para is a lot broader than that. So we have what we call short stature. It's the little people. We have a category for that. We have categories for people with generative muscle issues, whether they from birth or later on in life. We also have people for prosthetics. All right, there's a big range of that, but it's all determined by, we have assessors that assess people to what groups they go into. So the groups that we have, so we have wheelchair 1, wheelchair 2. The difference between the two is one with core, one without. Okay, we have our short statured. We have what we call SL3 and SL4. Again, it all depends on, they call it standing level 4, standing level 3, and that just all depends on their level of play, of their movement around the court, whether they are amputated above and below the knee. We also have a category what's called an SU5, and usually what an SU5 is an amputee, upper amputee of upper body with arm, any limb for their arms. So there's several categories. Now how they work is never by age, it just works by your category. So you can be as young as you want to be to play para, or as old as you want to be. I got a chance to see para played on the world stage, and after seeing the athletes play, I am so amazed of how they're able to play this sport and play it well, you know. And then you still see a broad range of players in their teens as well as players beyond 50 playing the sport. So it's great.
Good. Actually, your enthusiasm just comes out because you seem, it's a sport that's made you very happy. But could I take you back to when you first picked up that racket?
Sure.
How old were you when?
So I was 11, 12 before I started in junior high school. And it's funny how I started. I started because I always tell the story because my cousin had played. And I had watched him, and I was in elementary school, and he was in junior high, so he was a year ahead of me. And I would go watch him practice. And then he would tell me that he would get to go travel to other schools and play. And I loved to travel at that time because my parents used to take me traveling all the time. And I just wanted to travel. Wasn't really thinking too much about the sport, but I knew that this sport, you traveled. So I started to play. And then I started to like it more and more. I found out there was more opportunities to do more. I became pretty good at it, and then I excelled even more, to the point where I went to a national championship, and I met a family which I was staying with, and they had said to me, "Why don't you come and play at our club?" This was in Edmonton. And I thought, oh, you can do that? So I went home and talked to my parents about that. And first they're thinking I'm pretty crazy, right? About wanting to leave to go play badminton. But they supported me, and when I was finished high school, I went and I lived in Edmonton for 3 years, trying to make the national team. But it didn't happen, but I learned how to play the sport much better, which led me on a path of being able to be where I'm at now and to have other accomplishments in the sport.
That's wonderful. That's really great. And to be able to pass that on to your kids, that's wonderful too. That's really good. Any of them taken up the sport as seriously as you have?
Yeah. So my daughter and my middle and my youngest play. My daughter, she retired at a young age. She liked to play the sport, but she thought that at a certain point it was enough for her. But she finished on a high note. She is one of the only players from Nova Scotia to win what we call a U17 event, a U19 event, and she also won a women's senior event, all in the same tournament, and one of the youngest women to win one of the senior events. So she figured that at this time, it's like, I'm going to retire. And she was probably about 16. So as a dad and as a coach at the same time, I'm like, well, you know, you keep going, but I understood. So it's like she has other passions that she wanted to take on, and that was great. For my son, he still kept continuing to play. He went on to play some national championships, but one thing I did like that he did is that he stopped for a little while, but then he came back, and then he was able to compete in the Canada Winter Games. So it was great to see my son compete in the Canada Winter Games, which was something that I did at a young age as well, to go and do that. So it was great.
No,
You know?
that's good.
Yeah, badminton is in our family, right? Yeah.
It would appear so.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I played a bit myself, and I enjoy the sport when I do play, but haven't played in a long time. So you've got some very colorful rackets there. Could you tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about?
so I brought some rackets today, and first I'll start with this racket. So this is a junior racket, and if you see that it's small. Again, we start kids around 5 years old at our club. And
5.
yeah,
Okay, so are the let's see, are the nets lowered for the little guys?
so we do
for
lower
the
them.
kids?
We do lower them.
Yeah, because I
yeah.
mean, it's hard enough for me at my height getting that, you know,
Yeah, so
shuttle over.
that's one of the things that we do. We do lower them a bit for
Oh,
them,
yeah,
you know, so
good,
they'll
good.
kind of recognize that, you know, because of their height. But we also give them
Oh.
rackets that suit them, right? Because it's
yeah.
very hard to start them off with an adult racket, because they'll just be banging the rackets on the floor, because if you hold the racket down by your side, there's no way for it not to touch the floor. So
I never knew
yeah,
that they had them tailored to the kids.
yeah,
That's
so
good. That's-
so we have this size, and then there's another size that's just up from that before you get into adult racket. So we also have racket here that it's a more of an institutional use. So a lot of rackets that you find, you're like, there's so many rackets, how do you choose between the two? So this one right here is a racket with aluminum head, a metal head, and it's a two-piece construction. So as you can see here, it has a piece here, this one piece, and then that's a piece, right? So these rackets are normally used for institutional. And the reason why that is that they're cheaper in price. When they're going through schools, they're used, is rugged and, you know, things, and they could break, but they usually withstand, you know, sort of
They
thing.
can take it.
Yeah. So then we go up from there, and then we go into a racket that I'll give you a price point. Let's say it's about a little over $100, right? So these rackets are one-piece construction, and they're made from carbon graphite. Okay. So when you get into a racket with these type of materials into it, then the price usually goes up. Okay, from there. This is a great intermediate racket for a player who's playing. Been playing the sport for a little while, that wants to play a little bit more, but wants to have their own racket, and that is looking to pursue the sport. All right, so a racket like this would be perfect for them in around that price range, right? Then we're going to move on to another racket that is same construction, but what happens, what makes this racket more expensive, is that the technology that goes into it, a little more balance. The materials into it are a little more expensive that way, but the technology is the big thing, right? So this would be a racket that your professionals would use, that sort of thing. So this racket is for the serious in mind, for people who are definitely dedicated to the sport. I wouldn't suggest that you purchase this racket for someone who's just starting. So the reason is that when looking for a racket, you want to find a racket that suits the player, okay? Sometimes this would be something that it wouldn't suit the player because the player wouldn't understand how to use it. So it's like someone starting to drive. Would you give them a Ferrari to drive? You know what I'm saying? You would give them something else, okay? Because they wouldn't really know how to handle the racket. So this is why you would want to start them off with this sort of racket opposed to this,
To this,
okay?
yeah.
And then you grow into it in a way, and you would understand, because a lot of times now what happens is that these rackets are a little stiffer in composition, and for a player that's just starting to play, a stiff racket is not where they want to be. They want a racket that's a little more flexible, a little more forgiving, and sort of thing. So you want to start it with something like that. That's the reason why. Yeah. So there's a lot of technology.
See, Elliot, if you're considering getting into badminton and transitioning from off the couch, right? You know, it sounds like you're a good person to help guide people through that early stages of, you know, getting into the sport, becoming a little bit more able to, you know, play the sport and so on.
Right.
Yeah, because I imagine you do some of that, right?
Yeah, we have to
see
let our
players.
players know,
Yeah.
you know, what parents come to us and they ask us, you know, what they should purchase for their son or daughter. But one of the things that are most important is the footwear.
Oh,
Footwear is most important here. So I
So,
brought a
yeah,
pair of shoes here.
yeah.
You know, so when you look at footwear, it's like this is an actual badminton shoe.
So, Elliot, you are educating me entirely because I just saw a runner.
Exactly.
This is a badminton
right.
shoe.
Yeah. And you know, and this is what happens sometimes. People will come to play badminton with a running shoe, not knowing what's the difference. So a running shoe is made for up and back movement, right? It has no lateral support. The soles are a little higher, little higher. So you have more chance of rolling your ankle because you're higher up in the shoe. Okay. So a badminton shoe is a little lower. Okay. So you're a little lower to the ground, but it has lateral support. Okay, which will support you because in badminton there's a lot of stopping and starting. There's front and back movement, but there's also lateral movement, right? So we would always tell people that before you play the sport, invest in a good pair of shoes, court shoes. It's the same thing as that if you're going to be a runner, you're going to invest in a good pair of running shoes, right? Because you want your feet to feel comfortable. So with badminton, it's the same way. Invest in a good pair of shoes so that you can go out and play the sport comfortably, but be supported and be safe on the court as well.
And be fitted for them too, I suppose.
Yes, yes, for sure. You don't want too small shoes playing.
Too big.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have some tape as
So
well?
so what this is this is grip tape, and as you can see, it's a little bit tacky. So when you get your racket, if you notice that, so on this racket right there, it comes with a grip tape already on it. That's just from factory, but it's not always the greatest. You're wear through that pretty quick. So what you would do is put grip tape over it, or that grip may be a little small for you if you have bigger hands. So the grip tape will build it up a bit so that your grip is a little larger. But at the same time, it's going to be a little more tackier so you can hold onto the racket, that sort of thing. So that's what we would use that for. And grip tape comes in several colors, you know, just pretty well any color you can find, right? That you can
bubblegum.
Yeah, you know, yeah. So there's all different. And also, I also brought along string. String is also something else that's very important for rackets. And there's different types. And again, as you begin to play the sport more, you begin to think about the more technical side of the sport, and string is very technical that way, where there are thinner strings and thicker strings. The tension of the string matters depending upon what shuttle you're using, and I'll explain that later. But you want to make sure that you get a decent string. Preferably when you go to any pro shop, they would be able to ask you how you play, what's your type of game, and then they'd be able to put you on to different types of strings, that sort of thing. So there's lots to consider opposed to just purchasing a racket, going on the play.
Yeah.
But mostly, you know, average people will do that, which is normal, okay? But again, as you get into playing the sport more, then you will find out that there are different variables to go by.
A lot of people have one game or one sport that
Yes.
they love,
Right.
absolutely love. Okay, tell us about your runner-up sport
Um,
besides badminton.
Badminton really is the only sport. I did try tennis, and when I was young, I played some tennis tournaments, and it was a lot of fun. It got me outside and stuff like that. I enjoyed it that way. But my love is always going to be badminton because it's a fast sport, and I feel so much comfortable. It's badminton has always been my release. So you find that people have hobbies or they have something that they do that as soon as they do it, they forget about everything else. Well, for me, that's badminton. So when I step on the court, nothing else matters. I forget about everything, whether it's injuries or what's going on in my life or whatever. As soon as I step on the court and get ready to play, it all goes away.
So it would appear then that it brings a sort of solitude or some kind of calm for you, because so many of us try different sports.
Right.
And there might have been along the way, over the years, one of those sports that really caught our passion, and we missed it somehow because we felt a need to try these other ones, like I played badminton, I played tennis, I played racquetball. And racquetball is a big, exciting game right now for a lot of people. With badminton, would you say the coordination is as important as any of those others?
Very important.
Like very important.
Yeah.
So when would you caution somebody, say, about badminton?
Badminton is a sport that you can play at any age, and you can start to pick it up at any age, okay? The thing about badminton is that for a non-contact sport, there are lots of injuries involved with it. And the reason why that is because badminton has a lot of stop and start, okay? So whether you are knees, ankles, hips, shoulders, okay, all those things come into play. Now, badminton players who have played badminton for a long time have had these injuries, and what happens is that they're like, okay, it's hard for me to play badminton now, so here are the sports that I choose: tennis or pickleball. This is what happens with people. So people who went with knee replacements, hip replacements, usually go on to play those sports, that sort of thing. Badminton, because there's no ball bounce, so tennis, you hit, ball bounces, you have time to get there. Badminton, you got to get there before the shuttle hits the floor.
You're saying is the speed is faster, right?
The speed and the stopping and starting. So
Start and
tennis,
starting.
a lot of times what happens is that you hit, you run laterally from along the baseline, you hit. Coming into the net, it doesn't really happen too much, but a lot of baseline action, okay, which is a lot easier for people who have had those type of injuries, right? Badminton is a little harder that way because you hit and then you have to run in, then you stop, then you got to go back, you might have to stop again, come in, or go to the side. So it's the stopping and starting. Your body is not going to like that so much. So that's why it's a little harder on the joints. Pickleball is a little different too. It's played on the same dimensions of a badminton court, but because the ball bounces, it does give more time to get there, and it's a little more enjoyable, which is a very popular sport right now. Yeah.
Is there anyone along the way who actually discouraged you from being as much of a badminton enthusiast as you are?
No one. No, I've
Not
never
even-
had anyone that would say, why are you playing badminton? It's not the sport that you want to play.
Yeah.
I've had so much encouragement along the way. My family is the one who encourages me the most. That's why I was able to take this job out here in Winnipeg, is because of my family. They saw how much passion I had for the sport, and they're like, whether it's my wife or my kids, they said, "Dad, definitely go for it. You know, this is something that you've done all your life. You have a passion for it," and they said you would be good at it. So I owe it to them for being able to do this, because by me moving to Winnipeg, it opened up several doors for me that I probably wouldn't have the possibility of doing living back in Nova Scotia. So I thank them, you know, for that sort of thing.
So on the social side too, you know, we talk about the benefits of being active and picking up a sport.
Right. So I'm
During
glad
the
you brought
year.
that up, right? Because
That's a good part of it, isn't
yeah,
it, for
it's-
people?
social is a big thing in any type of sport. It is what draws people out, right? Now, not everyone's a professional player, plays competitively, they play social, but they want to stick with the social side of it, right? So being able to play, then when you're done, have something to eat with the people you play with, something to drink with the people you play with, talk about how you played, what you did, and that sort of thing. When are we going to get together the next time is so important. And I think social is a big part of the sport.
So I really would like to know if somebody's looking to transition into to badminton, and we're almost ready to wrap up the show. What kind of quick tips would you give them? 3 quick tips if somebody is looking to transition off the couch.
Research the sport.
Research it.
Yes. First thing,
That's
research
one.
the sport. Okay.
And then
Come and try it.
come and try.
Right. Keep an open mind for it. Okay. And I would probably say maybe the third thing is, once you try it, don't give up on it.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I would really like to thank you so much for coming here to Transitions and being my guest today. I would I'm thinking that you've sort of energized me to get back out there and dust off my racket. Maybe have you see my racket and see if it's still any good, because technology changes all the time.
Yes, it does.
And so thank you for joining me here on Transitions. To our viewers at home, we really appreciate you tuning in to see Transitions. Please visit us on YouTube and take a look at our website and see if you can find your favorite episode, and please follow us along, as we will be having more and more interesting discussions ahead. Thank you.